If you have ongoing exposure to controlling people, it's a virtual certainty that you're going to experience blurry boundaries, which is why I've created the extensive online course called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. There's a link below that will give you all of the details, and I hope that you would find it therapeutic. The longer you're in the presence of a narcissist, the more you realize these individuals don't think of you as being their equal. They're constantly vying for that higher position over you. And when you have a preference or an interpretation or feelings or desire that differs from them, they go straight into a black and white, all or nothing form of thinking because it's important for them to establish how they're superior over you, which is why they have such a need for dominance and control. In other words, they tend to think very strongly in terms of winners versus losers. Now, they may have actually used that word with you before. You're just a loser, or you don't know what you're talking about, constant invalidation. And when you think about that, you realize this is not a good way to live at all. Let's see if we can have a sense of harmony. Can we all just be on the same team? It's like, no, you're my opponent, and that's the way they operate. And by the way, the easiest way to see this in action is just watch how they respond to differences or conflicts. They'll come on in a strong and overbearing way, whether it's through open aggression or passive aggression or some form of punishment. That's how they think. Now, when we contrast their style of thinking, winners versus losers, to the healthy way of living, in the healthy way of living, it's like we don't need to break it down like that. The narcissist has already lost by going into that space. There's so much that they are unable to do that is of a healthy nature that when we think in terms of winners versus losers, they're the losers in the sense that they don't do healthy living well at all. Now, I want to go through multiple evidences of how they have lost the whole notion of what clean and good living is. And as I do, I want you to kind of take inventory about some of the people that you're in the presence of, and frankly, take an inventory of where you are too. For example, one of the things that we can say that is evidence of a narcissist's losing approach towards life is they've lost any sense of compassion. Instead, whenever you come along and you're a little bit different or you have needs, they can be quite dismissive and uncaring. You see, when you fit into that narcissistic scheme, it's all about yourself and your sense of entitlement, and then any requirement for you to get out of that and become empathetic, it's like, no, I don't do that. It means they've lost. They've lost a great deal by being that way. In addition, they've lost their sense of authenticity. In fact, it's hard to find a narcissist who really understands and appreciates what that means. To be authentic means that you're consistent interior on your interior with your exterior. But instead, narcissists are constantly living for false posturing. They're trying to make themselves appear somebody that they're not. They lose in the sense that they are unable to be authentic. In addition, narcissists have lost the capacity for self-correction. They have such a chronic defensiveness that it assures that they're going to repeat the same mistakes over and over and over. It's part of that false self that they have. They're unable to correct themselves, and they lose because of that lack of capacity. Additionally, narcissists have lost any appreciation or understanding for love. Now, to them, love means that somebody has conformed momentarily to their desires, and so they can say, well, I love you. But love is so much bigger than that. It's a whole pattern of life that involves patience and kindness and goodness and decency. That's something that's that is completely missed on them. They have lost in the sense that they don't know what love is, and they're unable to lean into it. They've lost any sense of mercy. Every one of us has something about us that's not perfect or ideal or wonderful. And there are times when we need to show mercy. It's like, well, I could clobber you, I guess, whenever I see that. Or maybe I could just take you for where you are. And yet the narcissist has such a strong sense of condescension and judgment that they're not able to go into that space. They've lost because of that. Likewise, they've lost the capacity for joy or contentment. They're not able to be satisfied. They've lost an inner sense of calm. They have a chronic undertow of annoyance and irritability. They've lost any sense of true peace. They're constantly jumping from one conflict to another to another. They are losers in the sense that they're unable to go into that wonderful kind of space. Narcissists have lost in the sense that they don't really have strong contemplative capabilities. And by that I mean looking at the broader meaning of life and having a sense of transcendence and spirituality. Now, many of them will claim religious beliefs, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that we want to realize there's something bigger going on here in this world and in all of creation beyond one person's inflated ego and that one person's interpretation of things. They don't contemplate the meaning of life and where we're going and what it is that makes a person truly have contentment and peace. Likewise, they've lost the capacity for self-restraint. Their need for control is so strong that it cancels out any self-restraint, which is why they can be very blustery and impulse-driven. They have lost respect in the eyes of many people. And they don't think of it that way. They think that if you have a difficult time with them, it just means you're the loser. It's like, no, you've lost in the sense that you prefer to have the appearance of superiority, and that makes you a very unappealing kind of person. They've lost in that regard. Likewise, they've lost in the sense that they don't know how to make heart connections. They like forced subordination with other individuals, and they can feel connected if you'll go into that game with them, but it's not truly down at the heart level. They don't know how to do that. They are losing because of that inability. They've lost the ability to stretch and grow. They have too strong of a self-serving agenda to go into that kind of space. They don't need to hear from anybody else. It's all about their must, their have to, their got to, they're supposed to, and they're held down because of that. They've lost in the sense that they are unable to heal their own wounds. And the easiest way to determine that is watch how quickly they go into the victim mode. They're constantly feeling like the world out there is doing them dirty and is not treating them right. And as a result, they carry all this pain. Now, the pain comes out as anger and disdain toward you, but they're losing in the sense that they're unable to come to terms with their need for healing. It's all about blaming and putting it out there. Narcissists have lost in the sense that they don't have a good sense of humor. Now, a lot of them can be funny at times. A lot of them can tell jokes, but so commonly with narcissists, it's at somebody else's expense. They tend to go way more heavily into sarcasm and derision and laughing at somebody's misfortunes. That's not good humor. I'm one that enjoys a good laugh, or I enjoy just having some funny stories that are being told. Narcissists are unable to go there on a consistent basis. Narcissists have lost in the sense that they don't know how to appreciate brotherhood or sisterhood. Instead, when they see somebody who's a bit different, they other them, if you understand what I mean. You're in that category over there, and we can't have a connection. Whereas in healthy relationships, it's like, well, when you bring something other, then that means that we can stretch and grow. Talk to me about where you are. But they're far too judgmental for that. Now, all the while, we take a look at these losing characteristics that they have and the fact that there are so many healthy traits that they're unable to access. They're thinking of themselves still as the enlightened one. They think of themselves as the standard bearer. Go figure that one out. They think of themselves who is the one that needs to be in charge. And there's this delusional thinking that they have, and then they come along and say, well, that being the case, that makes you the loser. My response to that is, wow. Just wow. That's just not realistic. And so I know that you've been on the receiving end of much of this losing style of living that they have committed themselves to. And I hope you can see straight through it. This is not something that needs to bring you down. I know many of you are trying to have healing because of the many messages of their dominance over you. Let's see it for what it is. These folks think they're the winner, you're the loser. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, when we think and feel differently, we can learn from each other. And I'm not going to go into that space where one person has to rise above and clobber the other person. That just doesn't make sense. The bottom line is, I'm simply not going to go along with a narcissist alternate reality. That's really what we're talking about here. Now, I hope that videos such as this can give you some good things to think about and contemplate. I hope it helps you figure out where you want to go in your life so that you can be healthy, and certainly what you can understand about that other person as they try to drag you in the wrong direction. If you've not already hit that subscribe button, I would certainly encourage you to do so, and and the notification bell that goes with it. We'll have more videos coming toward you to help keep you educated. Thank you for letting me be part of your journey. In addition, I know many of you could use some therapy. And obviously, I'm a therapist, and this is what I've been referring people to my entire life. We have a sponsor, and there's a link below that will take you to an entire team of licensed professional therapists. They're well known nationally. It's the BetterHelp group. And I've had good feedback from people who have used that service. So if you need some online therapy, there's a link below there, and please avail yourself to that as the need is there. In addition, I have courses, and these are meant to be extensive, guiding you through a process. One is called This Is Me. The other is called Free to Be, about setting boundaries or finding yourself. Multiple videos with multiple teaching, written material that goes along with it, with questions that will help you in a therapeutic way. There are links below for that. In addition, we have links for my books and other things below. Okay, let's just get it straight. You're not a loser if the narcissist says you're a loser. All that means is you don't think like them. I mean, just be glad that that's the case. Narcissists lose by by having to be the winner in this false narrative that they have built around themselves. I hope you don't buy into that in the least. Instead, I'm hoping you can understand what a healthy and decent way of life is, because that can position you for having a sense of internal contentment and steadiness, and most of all, it can carry you to your place of peace.